Oh, dang. Didn't even see you there. Well, welcome back to the channel, you guys. I know it's been a while since I've done anything, but as you can see, this next video jumps into some weird topics that have nothing to do with that car right there. That's my Accord. In the last video I had probably test drove. All right, so like I was saying before the battery died, because in true GoPro fashion that happens. Yeah, so this guy got parked to have some work done to it. However, loud noises. As you can see, it's still incomplete. I was having issues with the turbo. I'm going to be purchasing a new turbo shortly for this guy to get this build started and change some things, do some powder coating or some painting of some of the parts and cleaning up the engine bay a little bit, because it did run, it does drive. So outside of a tune, there's little adjustments that need to be figured out, but that will all come once the tune is done. So with that being said, this video is going to jump into another topic for another project that I'm having coming up, and that is going to be B-Series swapping another Accord. In the next coming days and weeks, I'm going to record and produce some videos and some footage of what it will take to do that. The first video you'll see will be about B-Series swaps and where to find them and what cars they're going with, and what personal choices to be making. So I have done that. So we will go from there. And then I'll have other videos like disassembling the motor and cleaning things. Well, not disassembling, but mostly just cleaning up the engine and transmission and things of that nature and how I do it. So there will be some time lapses and things of that nature. And we'll kind of go from there. So as this series progresses, some of the topics will be discussed and I'll have some time to go over some of those things. So bear with me if there's information you feel is left out or things of that nature. But I assure you I will go over everything in due time. It's just going to take baby steps to get there. So without further ado, we'll jump right into this one. Welcome back to the channel. Oh, it's windy today. It's been a while. So the last video I posted would have been about what engine to pull to do a B-Series swap in your Honda Accord. Particularly an 86 through 89 Honda Accord, or a 3Gs as we most know it. In that last motor you see me pick up in that last video you see me pick up an engine and with the help of a buddy of mine. Ended up taking it, been storing it for a while, and now we're at that part where it's time to start assembling things or going through some of the stuff. I was lucky enough to find a low mileage junkyard motor out of a CRV. There was an automatic, but I had parts because of the A to B series projects in previous videos to assemble a full manual drivetrain for the B20 as well. So I do have the all-wheel drive 5-speed transmission to go with it, with the shifter cables and all that type of stuff. And then I have this complete engine and the things that I will be modifying to do that. In this video, I just kind of want to go through and show my process of getting this engine prepped and ready to go for a B-Series swap, and the shell that it will be going into, which I will reveal in upcoming videos. But we'll start with this because in coming days and coming weeks, the shell should be delivered, or I should go get the shell and then take it to a place where I'll be storing it. And then I'll take all this stuff here and I'll take it over to the place where I'll be working on it. So in this video, it's just basically I'm going to pull this car out, or pull the engine out, and then I have some of these parts here. The transmission, the oil pan, which I've already done. I also was fortunate enough to be given a GSR header to go on that. So that should be fun, more breathing space than the CRV stuff. I have parts like intake manifold, all the rest of it, which will cover why you will need those things in upcoming videos as well. So what I'll do is I'm gonna set this up for a time lapse. I'm gonna pull some of this stuff out. I'll set it up over somewhere in between here and there. And then you'll see me and other steps go through getting some of this nasty grease and funk off of it. Just because it came out of the junkyard doesn't mean that it needs to look dirty and clean. So while I have the stuff out, I would like to clean some of the items, and then after I clean them, I'll do things like obviously oil pan gasket. If I'm doing the intake manifold, I'll have to swap that intake manifold out and do an intake manifold gasket, throttle body gasket to go ahead and go with that, valve cover gasket. You should do a water pump and timing belt, but once again, I have this low mileage. You'll see in that previous video that I found the tag that this motor was replaced, or the timing belt and water pump have been done within 20,000 miles of me pulling this motor, if that. So without further ado, I'm just going to go set this camera up, do a time lapse of pulling the stuff out, and then stacking it up, and then I'll put a table down and I'll steam it, and that'll be mostly a time lapse, so we can see that, and what steps I go through to deep clean that. So I got a couple of little things to mark some stuff, some degreaser. I have a steam cleaner for car parts, a little scrub brush, plenty of towels, some blue painter's tape, and then of course a couple markers, so when you're going back through torquing bolts, you can mark them and make sure you torqued everything and did the process correct. So like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and set that up on the other side. We'll do a time lapse of that, then I'll do a time lapse of me taking this out awkwardly, and we'll go from there. Alright, so everything for the most part's unloaded. I still have totes full of parts that will come at a later date, but I basically wanted to go through and kind of show the engine and see what condition it's in, and go through some of the other parts, transmission, starter, intermediate half shaft, that GSR header with the downpipe, sound plate adapter I found in a couple of them I have, and a bung for the oil pan, because one day I'll get around to turboing this. Maybe I should fix that one first before I turbo anything. Nonetheless, I got parts for all the types of stuff. So here's the engine. Gotta love Facebook Marketplace. Got that engine hoist for 25 bucks. And then I got this nice PLM B series engine stand off of Facebook Marketplace as well for like $100. So useful pieces of equipment to have around. But basically what we're looking at is just your run-of-the-mill B20B. Looks like it came from a vendor, so this is probably one of those imported B20Bs. It is covered in grime, as you can see. You can see it's pretty dirty, but overall on this particular unit, it's really not that bad. I've seen worse. I've pulled worse. The rear main seal even looks pretty decent on there, which is surprising. So I may or may not replace that, but I got all types of stuff. The biggest issue that you have at the junkyard is, for those that have ever pulled a junkyard motor, you can see that to drain the fluids, they always just poke holes in them, and then they put a cork in it. So with that being said, somewhere on this oil pan, can't remember where it's at now that it's covered in oil, there is a hole because they jammed a screwdriver through it and poked a hole in it. There it is. It's right here, down here at the bottom. So like right there next to the oil pan bolt. Like they couldn't just take the oil pan bolt off. They just jam a screwdriver or something through it and drain all the fluids. So I could run it with the plug, but I'd rather not. That's against my better judgment. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace the oil pan. Since I was lucky enough to have a friend, Jamie over at 10x10, he supplied me with some of these older parts, this and an intake manifold, some other miscellaneous things I needed. I was able to take this guy here, basically hit it with a flap wheel because it was covered in grease, or in RTV, and get the surface matted. I've cleaned this pretty thoroughly. So what I'll do is I'll probably get some black paint the under so it's nice and shiny like the rest of it. Call that a day. And then the rest of the stuff, like obviously remove the header, the intake manifold. Now the thing about the intake manifold is the height on the intake manifold. It's too tall to fit underneath the engine bay, so I won't be able to actually get this guy to fit inside of the Accord engine bay. As you can see with that intake manifold there, it is a lot shorter. Since the height from here to here is different with the CRV, you have to swap to an intake manifold similar to that style. I'll pull that out and shortly. I've already cleaned that. The other things you have to do is swap like the post mounts here, this guy here. As you can see, I've already replaced this with the right one. I don't think that I brought the other one, but I will do another video later about that. The alternator needs to be swapped out because the plugs are different on OBD2 versus OBD1. You can reuse the injectors, or you can upgrade the injectors, which I'll plan on doing at some point. Replace the valve cover gasket. I might actually do the modification where you cut this part of the timing cover off, keep the cam gears exposed, just cause. I kept the power steering because I have considered using the Volvo power steering upgrade. Plus the accessories are pretty cheap. This power steering pump's pulley is all beat up from whatever, so that power steering pump's probably no good to me anyway. But with that being said, it's there. The distributor, you have to convert this to this is the OBD2 plug that has just the one wire plug. You can either get a jumper for this and utilize this distributor, or you can replace it with an OBD1 distributor. I plan on probably going back to the OBD1. That will be covered in the video of what parts to replace. A lot of the things like this distributor and the alternator, I was able to exchange under the 30-day warranty because I bought all the accessories with it. So I could have went ahead and had this replaced and got a different one, I could replace this one, which I did. And then I also could replace this alternator. This alternator, as you can see, looks pretty new, so I didn't want to dive off the deep end with that too much. The other one that I have another alternator that's OEM, so I have those parts. Other than that, that's the engine, so we'll move that over to the side. We'll pull out the transmission. So over here we have the transmission to mate to this. This is a B series all-wheel drive transmission. How can you tell that it's all-wheel drive transmission? Well, of course, the transfer case. This guy right here is the most important part on it to make it all-wheel drive. Much different belt housing than the rest of them. You also notice that the starter's on the front on this B series transmission, where the other ones are in the back for obvious reasons. So it's got all the shifter stuff, mount brackets. It's also got the slave cylinder control, which we'll go over in another video about the install of what options you have to go hydro. There's a few options that I'm currently working on to go hydro. But one of the simplest is just to get a cable to hydro conversion, such as the one that I'm using on the A to B plates. Very similar to what everybody else is using for these units. So we'll go ahead and run one of those. I have both of them. I have the Hush Performance version, and I have a Hassport version, so we can try that. I also recently, if you follow the Facebook, picked up a pedal assembly because I want to venture off to see if I can make the newer version of the all-wheel drive or the pedal assembly conversions work. I'm not sure how that works, but they always say that they're for every style Honda pedal assembly that has a cable transmission with cable clutch pedals and can be converted. So we'll do that. The biggest downfall about this is somebody did not know what they were doing, and they tried to cut a bracket off, and in doing so they damaged this transfer case. So there's a few options to replace this transfer case. In my case, I'm not too worried about it, as I had planned to keep this front wheel drive anyway. So I will be pulling the transfer case and setting it aside for a later date, potentially getting a new case. I also have a whole nother spare transmission with a good transfer case on top of the transmission that I have in here. So I have options. Main goal was to get the unit itself. Everything else I'm not too worried about. I have a new throwout bearing. I have a new little ball here. I have the fork for it. And I also have a brand new fork and spring for that as well. So once again, these are all things that I'll be covering. I have a clutch flywheel pressure plate, which you'll see is here. There's no pressure plate or the flex plate that bolts onto the torque converter for the automatic. You don't need that, so I did not take any of that. Took all that off. Like I said, I already have a clutch and flywheel I plan on using for that. Everything that I have here is what's going into it. So what I'll do is I'm going to set up the table over in this area with the pressure washer, or not pressure washer, but the steamer. I'm gonna start with the transmission, then I'll slowly move over here to the engine, trying to keep everything dry and clean, nothing getting into the engine. So without further ado, that's what I'll do. I'll put this on pause and I'll jump back into it so we can film boring stuff. All right, here we go. All right, so we're back, and I set up and moved some stuff around and all that stuff. Don't mind my lovely trash over there. It's actually valuable trash. That's a control arm and a brake for an SEI. So I have one, I need to get the other one, and that's a rear cross member, which I'll be, or not cross member, but the power steering rack. Some sway bars for another project. But in fashion of showing what people is, I did this off camera, so I'm just going to give it a quick walkthrough, and so you can kind of see how clean this guy is now. And I kid you not, I'm just using this little $30 Amazon steam cleaner and a couple Wrestle brushes. I do have degreaser, but I don't like to use a degreaser because it tends to use leave a film on everything. So to avoid that, you go from there. But as the finishing touches go on cleaning that ugly, nasty transmission, I will go ahead and maybe hit it with a degreaser in some of the spots where I can't really get some of the steam to clean it, and go from there. But as you can see, this guy's pretty sparkling clean. There should be very little evidence of dirt. I mean, there's like some dust and stuff like that, but it's pretty good. You could see in the runners, kind of, sort of, that there's still some buildup in there. I could always send this off to be hot tanked and then make sure that it's fresh before I put it on the car, which I might do just because I can, and go from there. So that's what a clean intake manifold looks like. What's up, Dominic? How are you? Hi. No shirt, boys? What? No shirt, boy? So this, on the other hand, I could clean this up, which I probably will. I might end up going ahead and making a full stainless steel braided line on this instead, but we'll see. Right now I don't need that particular part because I already have one that's already hooked up to the hydro conversion, so I'll run that. Then what I got is this transmission. So first thing we'll do is we'll tape off this little port right here, and I'll tape the plug to make sure the plug stays good for the reverse neutral switch or reverse switch on this guy. Other than that, there should be no other access in to the engine other than where this axle hole is, and I can always stick the intermediate half shaft in there for that. But I basically wanted to give a quick show how well that steamer works, and then I'll time lapse some of the stuff and then wrap it up and then jump into the engine on another day. So I'll come back, hopefully make this a part 1, part 2, or maybe just make this a one series, and I'll just jump back and forth between the two. So we'll go from there. Like I said, this is going to be a pretty long series, as this is just the prep to get it ready for install. So I still have time, and I will be filming, picking up the engine and things like that, or the shell that this is going in a upcoming video. So without further ado, I'm gonna put this on that table. Yes, the CRV table will support that transmission. I've done it before. Probably not the best thing in the world, but easier than to clean it than leaning over. So without any other effort, I'm just gonna throw that up there. Here we go. So we got this all together, got the steamer going. You can see it's spitting out some water, getting ready. It's going to get loud and noisy, so it's going to be hard to hear. But you can see I taped off the important speedo cable, the vent, and the reverse neutral switch. I'm going to keep the towel in there. And this is just to show you what it goes. I do have this on maximum heat. So as soon as it gets up to full power, we'll go ahead and take a look at it. So you can see, works pretty good at displacing everything so far. So So we'll slowly but surely start getting this out of the way and go from there. But I just wanted to show what I'm doing. It's got a scrub brush on it, so you can scrub. You can see right there, look how much cleaner it is. Same with up here. Just boring stuff. So like I said, I'll get back to a time lapse on this and we'll go from there. All right. I'm sure the time lapse died somewhere, but here's what I've gotten clean so far. On the inside you can kind of see how much cleaner it is. This was definitely all black before, so that's a million times better than it was. I mean, obviously I still missed a few spots, but for just hand scrubbing with a steam cleaner and a little bit of degreaser, like a little bit of degreaser, not getting carried away, soaking it, and a scrub pad every now and then, you can kind of see how clean you can really get it, just cleaning up the parts. Same with the outside on this side. You'll see that I got all of this pretty clean, almost able to scrub the numbers off. Yeah, so I'm gonna continue to go through it. I'm sure you get the point. No need to beat a dead horse on this, and then I'll do the same on the engine and we'll come back when it's clean. All right, so here we go. We got this all cleaned up for now, or as good as I'm gonna get. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just got to be cleaner than it was when I found it. Just because it was in the junkyard doesn't mean it has to be dirty. So I didn't clean this bracket all the way because I already have a really clean one. So I'll just use that one instead. But you get the point. That's what dirty looks like. And this is what clean looks like. You can see there's hardly any grease on it. I mean, there's a few little areas. You can also see that big cut that somebody made. So I don't know what these dum-dums were trying to do when they were trying to remove it, but they decided they were going to cut it out. I also cracked my CRV table, so that's pretty cool. I got a couple other ones, so I'm not worried about it. But yeah, you can see it's pretty clean now. I wouldn't say it's perfect. I want to get some lacquer thinner and get the paint off of the places, but I'll do that later. Not important right now. Most importantly is I can kind of touch it with my hands and not get dirty. Not that that's too important, but I mean, I even cleaned the webbing down in there, sprayed it. Let's see if I can turn this thing without the table finally collapsing. All right, so yeah, you can probably get a better look at it this way, but you can see pretty much all that webbing's clean. out all the nooks and crannies, all underneath the shift selector, all the sensors. Everything is pretty clean on this thing. I'd say biggest shortfall of this guy here is the little reservoir. I probably had to fill this like 10 or 20 times to get it this clean. And then, like I said, a little degreaser, a couple little nylon brushes and other stuff like this to kind of like get some of those deep surfaces. Do have to remove, like I said, I removed the Speedo to clean in there. I mean, it doesn't look that clean, but it's clean. It used to have kicked up grease in there. I mean, but there's little nooks and crannies like this one where it's still dirty. I mean, you see little stuff like that, but that's okay. Same with on the inside. There's some crevices deep in here that I just didn't have a brush to really get in there and clean. But for the most part, it's clean enough for me. So with that being said, I'm going to call this one a day, and then I'm going to jump in a little later and be like, oh, welcome back. And I'm going to do the same thing on the B20 over there, that guy. So for now, I'm going to get a rag, wipe this down with a little WD-40 to keep some of that corrosion and water off of it. And then I'm going to roll it away and tuck it away. So that will be ready. I will have to put fluids and stuff like that. But for this purpose, this video is done. Yes, baby. Hi. Say hello. Hi. That's silly. Okay. Give me 1 second, okay? Well, Dominic needs to go back over that way, and so does Salem. Bye. Thank you. Gotta love when kids like to argue when they're playing. But, you know, they'll figure it out. But, yeah, that's that. So, peace.
They told me that I wasn't gonna get far. So I told them like this, look. My adversaries crumble when we rumble. It's a catastrophe on anybody who tryna hate, come and blasting me. I've been in this for a minute. See how I graduated from rookie to beginner, but now I'm winning on the road. Backing up and selling our shows, but let's rewind the tape a bit and let them all know who came to rock the floor, Jay, who knocks the most, Willis. I creep up on the come up, whether they hate it or feel this. Next in line to come and battle me quick. Man, you don't wanna see me in this circle. I'm killing you, kid. Young Jay, I'm bad.